Good day to you, one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. I'm still somewhat unwell. Oh, I can't shake this thing off. But today is Comments Day, so I'm excited to react to a carefully curated selection of your missives and, react to them things what you done said to me. Honestly. Justin Hawkins Rides Again. How does it feel to have been such a big part of both Taylor Hawkins Tribute shows? You slayed, and then fire emoji. Thanks for always putting your whole into everything you do. That's from Cosmic Girl. Thank you very much. And it's a super thanks as well. Nice one. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I was that big a part of it, really. I mean, maybe I'm still pinching myself a little bit. I think it was... the second one, when we did the Van Halen stuff, it just felt like the roof was coming off. It was really, really exciting. And of course, Taylor Hawkins was a massive Van Halen fan, so that was really important that section went well. And I felt like it did, you know. There's only one way to do anything, and that's wholeheartedly. Otherwise, there's not much point, especially in a situation like that. I've said this before. Josh Homme said to me that life is a collection of moments just hanging in the air, and sometimes you have to jump a little bit higher to grab them. And that's how it felt, really. Everybody was just giving it 100%, and I didn't see anybody on that night, or even at Wembley, phoning it in. It was just everybody was all hands on deck and fighting for the cause, and I just felt like it was a really special couple of shows, you know, and an honour and a privilege to be part of something so important and so special. Really, it was great. Thanks for your comment. Leandro Zutelman says, question for Comments Day. I saw you at Taylor's Tribute at the LA show, and while you were performing, I was wondering, when you're on stage, what it is that creates that incredible showmanship. Is it just the love of music, the audience, or some interior motive? An interior motive? I've never heard that expression before. I think the motivation is to just do a good job, really. You know, it's like that's all it is. I think when you're playing with people like Chris Chaney, Josh Freese, Rufus Tiger Taylor, Nate Wood, Brent Woods, all those guys, Wolfgang and Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters and Queen. I mean, just how can you not enjoy that? You know, I mean, devastating circumstances, and obviously we'd all much prefer it if Taylor was still alive. But regardless of the circumstances, I think it's impossible to not enjoy a thing like that. It was supposed to be a celebration, and as soon as you hear those songs fire up, it's like, wow, this is really exciting. But yeah, thanks for your comment. I just, you know, it's natural, really. I don't think you can put yourself in a situation like that and not have it channel through you to a degree, you know. I just gave it my best shot. Thank you. Stuart King with a lovely super thanks says, great content as always. So, am I the arsehole for telling somebody to stop videoing during a gig the other day? Watching Nick Mason's band in Washington, D.C., as soon as the lights went down, a chap in front of me started filming right in my sight line. I tapped him on the shoulder and asked him to lower his phone. I'd paid a lot of money and waited 2 years for this gig, and I didn't want to watch it through somebody's iPhone screen. He complied because, as my girlfriend says, you're British, and with your accent, people here think you're going to kill them when you complain. What's your thoughts on people holding their phones up all the way through a gig? Well, when I've been at gigs and I've seen people do it, I just think, wow, that's just a waste of time. Why? I mean, how many different sort of slightly different perspectives do you need on your of YouTube footage of every gig in the fucking world? It's really tedious to be a punter and see somebody doing it next to you, behind you, in front of you, whatever. When you're on stage, it's kind of like, I don't know. It just feels like, you know, come on, guys, take part be part of what's happening in the room. You know, nobody trusts their own memories anymore. You know, if you didn't film it, then it didn't happen. This seems to be the overriding sort of philosophy of gig going nowadays. It's been like that for a little while. I've been in situations where I've asked people to stop, and then there was one situation where somebody was filming all the way through. I asked them to stop, and then they just carried on. And I may have said a couple of things that were regrettable. And then it became like an online thing. Like he sort of found me online and was going, "Oh, you said this and you did that." And I was like, "Yeah, well, you shouldn't have been fucking filming. Just enjoy the gig. Put your phone away. Have a little dance around, enjoy." What I sometimes do is I just elect one person to be the official cinematographer. Tell everybody what their handle is, on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever it happens to be, and just let everybody else enjoy it. That's if it's really endemic and there's like a whole room full of people doing it. It can get a bit frustrating, but I tend to deal with it. I tend to deal with every audience as it comes, really, and sometimes it's something needs to be said. Sometimes it doesn't. Solipsism Crisis with a lovely super thanks. Justy Pops, no ifs, no buts, no coconuts. If you could create your own cup of soup, what flavour would it be? Cup of soup. So you'd need a spicy parsnip, I think. Spicy parsnip cup of soup. Can already taste it, can't you? Delicious. Team Genko, with a lovely super thanks, says, discovering your channel has been a blessing. I adored The Darkness growing up, and the rock comedy music videos always brought me joy, especially at Christmas parties. I'd love to hear your thoughts on mentorship and finding a good mentor in music. Brilliant channel. I've recommended you to my more talented friends and family. Nice one. Thanks, Team Genko. Mentorship. I think there's a lot of sort of passive mentorship that happens. I think when you're in the music trade, you look at other people's careers and the people that you look up to, and you end up sort of making decisions based on the way they did things. Like if there's an artist that you admire. I mean, we were always kind of not directly mentored, but we just used to look at AC/DC, Queen, Aerosmith and Led Zeppelin and sort of think about the decisions that they made creatively, and also a bit of punk as well. I think there's a lot to be said for like the old punk scene in terms of just kicking the door in and doing it your way. That's actually a lot of the time the bands that do that end up getting not just record deals but label deals, so that their own imprint is absorbed by a bigger label because they've started doing things themselves. And I always admire the people that blaze a trail through this, the undergrowth of apathy and people who don't care about music and aren't prepared to take a chance and aren't prepared to develop artists. It forces people to do it themselves. So the people that I admire and I've been sort of passively mentored by are the ones that sort of got off their asses and done it themselves, really. But you do need to sort of look to the precedents to find solutions to the everyday problems of trying to be a rock musician. Great question, thank you for that. Memo, the middling guitarist, with a lovely super thanks, says, who's your favourite Python? That's a really, really good question. I think because of his solo stuff, you'd have to say that John Cleese takes some beating. 40 Towers. Need I say more? But then again, when I was on the plane back from LA, one of the movies on the in-flight movies options was A Fish Called Wanda, which I think that's John Cleese, isn't it? But isn't one of the other Pythons is in that as well, I think. But it's always John Cleese. John S says, thanks. Other than Queen, what are your glam rock influences? I don't always like the word glam because I think it's an abbreviation of glamorous, but it also cheapens the word a little bit. But if I had to choose some, I'd say Love Hate, The Cult. A certain period of Cult you'd have to say was glam rock. Bit of Motley Crue, a lot of Van Halen, a lot of Def Leppard, Aerosmith. That sort of late 80s period, you could argue that's glam. I used to like Poison a little bit. Used to. Yeah. Azizi Abraman says, Justin Hawkins rides again. Here's my question. What was the first song you learned to play on the guitar? Mine was I Want to Hold Your Hand. Mine was this. If you knew Peggy Sue, then you'd know why I feel blue. Oh Peggy, my Peggy Sue. Oh, I love you, girl, and I want you, Peggy Sue. Sue. By Buddy Holly. Because it's 3 chords, A, D, E. You do a whole song with those 3 chords. Thanks for your question. Claire B says, question for comments day, if I may please. You may indeed proceed. Has your approach to songwriting evolved over the years, or the process still the same as it was when you first started writing? Also, just to say, your channel is a treat. Informative, honest, funny and witty, all rolled up in a warming personality. Thank you for the daily dose. You're welcome. I think the approach to songwriting, I don't know, it's changed a bit over the years. I used to sort of really focus on trying to find interesting melodies, and then I sort of had a period where I was just trying to sort of yelp out what felt natural. Now it's a combination of things, really. I try not to be too clever about it, but I don't actually do that much writing at the moment. You know, I only write if I've really got something that I want to sing about. Mainly because I'm so busy doing this stuff. But I like. I think the most important thing is to just sit there with a guitar. Because you hear those stories about people who like write their most sort of iconic and best work without really thinking about it, and you hear them say, "Oh, it sort of wrote itself," really. But that only happens if you got a guitar in your hand, or a piano under your hands, or a bass clarinet or clarobo phone in your hands and at your embouchure. But I think that those songs that sort of seem to appear from out of nowhere, they're in the ether, and this is your butterfly net, you know. So it really is just a case of sitting there and waiting, and then striking, getting that thing straight into development, and finishing the job as quickly as you can. So, there are a lot of super thanks that I must read out. Cosmic Girl, Brian Copeland, April Kurtz, Claire B, Stuart King, Kimberly Arkand, Dustin Beasley, The Video Lounge, Axel A, Russ, Anne Gamble, Jason Lizovsky, Alexis Profeta, Not Actually Tesco, Sweet Pandora, HC, Reed Jorgensen, Sarah Rivas, Nick Davison, Thomas Ruffley, Simon Dealey, Anthony Rodriguez, Samuel Baldwin-Jones, Camila M, Andy M, Roman Dame, Anthony Keefe, Tim Von Swine, Ed Code, Martin, Solipsis Crisis, Dan Curry, Turbo, Brian Smith, Shark Week Holiday, Ian Howat, Team Jenko, Dylan D, Mulgrave Dave, PMT Slots, Hits and Stuff, CL Merker, Memo the Middling Guitarist, Rafa Carrillo, Ed Code, LW Carr, Nat Young, Vicky Garnett, Josh Norton, Jigs111, James K, Andreas Rausch, Maxwell Morrow, Claudia KG, and Just Jean. Thank you so much for your super thankses. It really does warm the cockles of my heart to receive those things. It means an awful lot to me. You'll never know how much it means to me. So thank you. Keep it coming. I really appreciate it. And I will endeavour to continue to answer your comments in the only way I know how. Into a microphone on a camera. Justin Hawkins writes again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, watch one of these 2 videos, and never stop the dance.